Washington, there are cracks in the curtains. President Donald Trump tried to draw around the government early in his presidency, but the slivers of light aren't making it easier to hold federal officials accountable for their actions. Trump still refuses to divest from his real estate and hotel empire or release virtually any of his tax returns. His administration is vigorously pursuing whistleblowers. Among scores of vacant senior jobs in the government is an Inspector General for the Department of Energy, led by Secretary Rick Perry, former governor of Texas, as it helps drive the region's recovery from Hurricane Harvey. Read more. Fact or fiction, is Donald Trump working to drain the swamp? Rebuilding from the deadly storm seems certain to be a $100 billion-plus endeavor involving multiple federal departments and an army of government contractors. If the ghosts of Katrina, Sandy and other big storms are guides, the bonanza of taxpayer dollars is a recipe for corruption. And that makes transparency and accountability all the more critical for a president who has bristled at the suggestion of either one. Watch Trump toning down language on border wall. This is an administration that wants to do things their own way and a president that wants to do things his own way, said Rick Bloom, director of news media for Open Government, of which the Associated Press is a member. Trump is frustrated by the institutions our founders established. And he is going to have to learn that the public deserves a free and independent press. To be sure, Trump has not backed off his fury with the media or his branding of reporters as enemies of the people who want to harm the country. He still calls revelations he doesn't like fake news. And he tweets untruths himself, including that he witnessed Harvey's devastation firsthand during his first visit to Texas on the edges of the disaster zone. Still, a new slate of top aides, including White House Chief of Staff John Kelly and presidential spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders, seems to have opened pinpricks of light and lowered the temperature in the daily White House briefing. Trump has let fade his threat to scrap the daily question and answer sessions in favor of written questions and responses since the dismissals of Reince Priebus, Sean Spicer and Steve Bannon from his inner circle. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos gave the AP an interview about education policy. Watch, Sean Spicer tells Kimmel he had a special alert on his phone for every time Donald Trump tweeted. President Trump and his administration are committed to transparency and accountability throughout the government, the White House said in a statement issued Saturday to the Associated Press. The administration is responsive to public records requests, instituted new lobbying standards for political appointees, including a 5-year ban on lobbying and a lifetime ban on lobbying for foreign countries, and expanded and elevated ethics within the White House counsel's office. Read more. White House will not release visitor records, raising transparency questions. Still, questions persist about how committed the administration will be in making its actions transparent. This past week, Open Government and First Amendment advocates criticized the administration's response to a lawsuit that sought the visitor logs for the president's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. They said it's important for the public to know who has access there to the president, who has made 7 trips to his property this year. The watchdog groups received only a list of 22 Japanese officials who had joined their country's prime minister at the property during a February trip. In a letter, Justice Department officials said any records beyond those names were related to the president's schedule and were therefore exempt from public records laws. The government believes that presidential schedule information is not subject to the Freedom of Information Act, they wrote. Noah Bookbinder, executive director of the watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, described the move as spitting in the eye of transparency. The Trump administration also has served notice that the executive branch could ignore some information requests from Congress, with a few exceptions. Nonsense, said Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, an outspoken advocate of open government. Shutting down oversight requests doesn't drain the swamp, Mr. President. It floods the swamp. Members of the administration have resisted being questioned. Some White House briefings were declared off-limits for video or audio. And in July, during the president's second overseas trip, The administration insisted that a briefing by Secretary of State Rex Tillerson on Trump's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin be off camera. Trump also barred the U.S. media from his White House meeting with Russian officials, only to see photos of the